the electric cooperatives have already put the Mr. Football list on their magazine page.
Okay.
Be back.
You got 20 seconds, Corn.
I'm here. All right.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Bill Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
You know, you look back, and obviously we would like to have a few offensive and defensive calls and plays over in the fourth quarter of a couple of games, but you can't get them back. Try to learn from them and move on, and that's where we are. So we got a lot of ball left, a lot of big games, hopefully.
This is a football team that I think is going to go on and have a good season. When you look at what they've done, 4th in the nation in rushing, 9th in the nation in rush defense. You know, they can run the ball, they can stop the run. That usually equates to a pretty good season.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome into Sports Talk here on a Thursday night. Dabo Sweeney, Steve Spurrier, giving us some of their final thoughts about their games coming up this weekend and their situations. The Tigers up here in Boston, well, they'll be coming up tomorrow, and they will be greeted by better weather than what we have up here now. If you are coming up tonight, be prepared for stormy conditions. A little bit of a rough ride flying up the East Coast last night because of the storms. Off the East Coast, moving up the East Coast, and settling into New England today. We've had nothing but torrential downpours all afternoon long. It's going to be raining tonight over at Gillette Stadium, not too far from me, as the Jets and the Patriots do battle tonight in the NFL game. We've got an ACC game tonight as well over in Pittsburgh. I imagine it'll be wet at Heinz Field as Pittsburgh takes on Virginia Tech. And you heard Steve Spurrier, of course, lamenting the fact that there's a few things here and there they could have done, perhaps to not lose the 2 games that they have lost back-to-back as they go into the Furman game on Saturday. Phil Kornblut up here in Boston, back in Columbia on Main Street, the Professor Tom Hayes and K-Mac Kevin McCrary. And today we hear from Stephen Garcia, K-Mac, and I don't know. He points the finger a little bit, not naming names or anything, but says during his time at South Carolina, he saw a lot of money changing hands for autograph signings and the like.
Yeah, that's what he says, and that, you know, anytime Stephen Garcia talks, headlines seem to follow, and a lot of them are following now nationally with those comments. He said the most that he saw a player make in a season was $160,000. That was his number. But he said outside of Vanderbilt and Kentucky, there isn't an SEC school where players aren't getting handshakes with money in them. So, yep, old Stephen Garcia still knows how to rile up the old village people.
And when you think he mentions Vanderbilt and Kentucky being left out, but I mean, come on. You don't think when Randall Cobb was at Kentucky he wasn't getting the palms greased a little bit, or Jay Cutler at Vanderbilt Pro? You don't think he was getting a little something under the table when he was a student at Vandy?
That's why I say make it over the table. I mean, the NCAA knows it goes on. The utter hypocrisy is joking. But, yeah, in fact, players – some fans will tell you, hey, those guys out there sweating, bleeding, getting their bones broken, yeah, they'll slip them some money. What you going to do about it?
All right, big announcement coming up in just a moment here on Sports Talk. The 5 finalists for Mr. Football live for you in just a moment. We'll be right back. Okay, very good. Also, tell them, make sure. Very good. Also, make sure that they leave me plenty of time here when we go into breaks. Don't talk too much towards the end of the break to give me plenty of time to get out of it before, let the music play out like we just did. That's perfect.
Okay.
Keep it clean and green, clean and green. Tell K-Mac I've got the story ready to go up on the site. As quickly as you can after we finish with Coach Richardson. Make sure you record him and email me the audio, and I'll put it on the story.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the finalists are already up on their site. Is that correct, Corn?
Yeah, they've already put it up on their magazine site, the Electric Cooperatives.
You guys can hear him, I think, but you can't hear Roy. He can't hear you because you're not coming through the tie line.
Yeah.
Is that correct? You can't hear them, can you, Corn?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Did you not put a picture in the story, Corn?
I'm doing it now. I'm putting pictures in now.
Gotcha.
Do 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 do. Oh, why's K-Mac taking over my story?
He left it.
Has he closed out of it? Oh, he wiped out my pictures. What's the deal here?
All right, I got Coach waiting on us, Corn.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, stand by. We're coming back.
Okay. And we are back in Sports Talk here on a Thursday night. Great to have you with us. Terrific show for you. In just a moment, we've got the names of the 5 finalists for Mr. Football in South Carolina for 2014. Lee Sterling coming up at the bottom of the hour with his Sterling picks for tonight. Also more from USC and Clemson. Brent Venables, the Tigers defensive coordinator. Lorenzo Ward, the USC defensive coordinator. We'll have that for you, too. Plus your phone calls, 800-956-7266 is our number. But right now, our pleasure to welcome in one of the legendary coaches in our state, Coach Keith Richardson, who works very closely, of course, has for many, many years with the South Carolina Football Coaches Association and other athletic-related associations in South Carolina. Coach, how are you this evening?
Doing really good. I hope everybody there is.
We are. I'm actually up in Boston to cover the Tigers and the Eagles on Saturday. A little wet up here. Good football weather, though, if you like to get down in the mud and slop it around a little bit.
Well, it must be nice to travel all over the country seeing good football.
All over the world. Sports talk goes all over the world.
Just stay out of Africa.
Yeah, you got that. We're not going to Liberia anytime soon. Well, it's a big night here. It's always a big night when we have the announcement of the 5 finalists for Mr. Football in South Carolina, the state's most prestigious high school football award, and the 5 players, the 5 top senior players in the state who are more than just football players, right, Coach? They have to meet a number of different standards that the committee looks at to be on this list and to be the eventual winner.
Well, that's very true, Phil. We've got some criteria that we try to go by and some rules in place on how nominations are made and that sort of thing, so that it's kind of a level playing field when we do this. And we're extremely proud that this award is a part of our Touchstone Energy and Cooperative North-South All-Star Game, and it adds to that, and we're just excited about it. But this year we had a number, probably as many as we've ever had, applications or people applying for this award, if that's the right term.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate all the coaches. It starts with them being able to nominate a player. We appreciate their participation and the efforts it takes to put the package together so that their player can be fairly evaluated.
And the way you guys have intertwined this now with the Saturday of the Touchstone Energy Bowl North-South game in Myrtle Beach by having the 5 finalists there at halftime, the presentation, and the announcement, I think that just adds to everything.
Well, we think it is. It worked real well last year and seemed to be the way to go, so we're trying it again and do a few things to try to, to make it a little bit better, make it a little more where people can see and hear, all that sort of thing is, just trying to tweak it so it'll be even better for the participants.
Absolutely. Well, let's get to it. You've got the list. You've got the names. You know who the final 5 are. So at your pleasure, deliver it to us.
Okay. This is an alphabetical order in case there's any questions about that. The first one is Zach Bailey, an offensive lineman from legendary Somerville High School. The second finalist comes from Wren High School, quarterback Kelly Bryant. Our third finalist comes from Dutch Fork High School, Matthew Colburn. Our fourth finalist is Dupree Hart from Northwestern High School. And the final of the fifth, and again, alphabetical order, and I hope I don't mispronounce his name, Jose Whiteside's wide receiver from Dorman High School.
There you go. That's an outstanding group. Once again, Somerville offensive lineman Zach Bailey, a USC commitment. Wren quarterback Kelly Bryant, a Clemson commitment. Dutch Fork running back Matthew Colburn, a Louisville commitment. Northwestern wide receiver Dupree Hart, a College of Charleston baseball commitment, but had plenty of football opportunities as well, but he's also a very good baseball player. And Dorman receiver J.J. Arcega Whiteside, who is committed to Stanford. So 5 different guys committed to 5 different schools, and it tells you also how coveted the top football players in South Carolina are every year, Coach.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Our players are around the world, around the United States. We've got colleges that are interested in South Carolina football. Our coaches in this state have done a good job to build that caliber of player that they're producing year after year throughout the state of South Carolina.
And let's tell folks that for the first time, Touchstone Energy has on their magazine website, South Carolina Living, a poll where you can go to that poll and vote on who you think should be Mr. Football. Does that have any influence on the ultimate decision?
Oh, I don't think it's going to have any influence, but it's certainly going to create a lot of interest, and certainly we'll be looking closely at that to see how the people feel in relationship to where our panel felt.
Mm-hmm. Where does it go from here now as far as the process to pick the eventual winner of the award?
Well, the eventual winner will be picked at a later date, to be announced at the All-Star game. But it will be the panel's final decision.
Do they get together as a group sit down around a table and look over data and discuss things face to face? How do they pick the eventual winner?
Around the table and goes over a lot of information, and film is available to look at and that sort of thing. And most of the ones on that panel, I'd say all of them, see high school football week, every week. They go somewhere and they keep up with it. People are very interested and very conscientious about it.
Sure. How many people are on the panel?
6.
6. All coaches or some administrators?
Well, there's people on the committee that have served in both capacities.
Mm-hmm.
They have been the coaches, moved into administration, and that sort of thing.
Gotcha. All right, it's another outstanding group. Once again, the 5 finalists for Mr. Football in South Carolina this year. Receiver J.J. Arcega-Whiteside from Dorman, Somerville offensive lineman Zach Bailey, Wren quarterback Kelly Bryant, Dutch Fork running back Matthew Colburn, and Northwestern wide receiver Dupree Hart. Any final thoughts from you, Coach?
No, we appreciate you getting this out for us, and I congratulate each one of these selectees, and I hope that there's some juniors now looking and saying, hey, I'd like to be on that list for next year.
That's a beautiful trophy that the winner receives on announcement day. So it's something to work towards as a young football player in our state. I know you're thinking about all kind of things, being this star, that star. But to me, having grown up in South Carolina, there's nothing bigger than being selected for the North-South game or the Shrine Bowl, and also being one of the 5 finalists and having a chance to be Mr. Football.
I think we're very fortunate in the state that we've got 2 opportunities for a young person to make an all-star team and play in a postseason game and just having that experience. I just think we're very fortunate there.
All right, Coach. We'll see you down the road here coming up soon. And thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, Keith Richardson with the 5 finalists. I don't think you can argue about the 5 who made it. There could be somebody on the outside that you think should have made it. And that's always the case, guys, when you have to eliminate and get down to a small number of kids, and whether it's for an all-star team or an all-American team or a elite group like the finalists for Mr. Football, there's going to be some very worthy guys left off. But if you're going to get to 5, you got to get to 5. So we congratulate these 5 individuals who will now be considered for the honor of Mr. Football. And, I've had the pleasure of watching every one of the ceremonies when they announce it, guys, and it's quite a thrill for the eventual winner.
The interesting thing is I wonder why they picked 6 people. I thought maybe they picked 7. At least they had to have a vote to break a tie or something. Be interesting to see what happens there. You talk about Zach Bailey. There hadn't been a lineman picked since, I guess, 96, Kyle Young. Arcega-Whiteside, maybe the odds against him because 2 out of the last 3 Mr. Footballs were wideouts. Maybe they want to go in another direction this time. Who knows?
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll be back, 800-956-7266. What do you think of the finalists? Back in a moment. Tell you what, I'm just going to y'all can slap the audio on. I've written it up and I'm putting the pictures in. There's a spot there for the audio to go, so you can just slap that in there.
Corn, can you add a link to where they go vote for it?
Yeah, it's in the story, or it was,
okay.
Unless when KMAT took it over, it wiped out some stuff. Let me see if it's still there. And yeah, it's still there. Doggone it. Boy, 4 gives it a great balance. I don't know how to get the 5th picture in there. Dadgummit. Thanks again to Keith Richardson for being with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Coming up, Lee Sterling with his Sterling picks for tonight as we look ahead to another busy weekend of NFL and college football. And we'll hear from Brent Venables from Clemson. We'll also hear from Lorenzo Ward from USC. Couple of other notes to get to. We mentioned what well, here's what Garcia said. He was on a radio interview in Charlotte. Of course, he argued against the rules preventing players from benefiting financially on their likeness. And then he was asked about when he was at South Carolina, and he was asked if he saw players getting money in handshakes or in exchange for autographs or memorabilia. His quote is, "I saw it all day, every day, to be honest with you. I wish they came to me, but they thought of me as some rich white kid, so I didn't really get benefits from that. I'm just being honest with you. I saw it firsthand with a lot of players and talking with other guys. You know, I'm friends with a lot of players from around the SEC, and talking with them, it makes the Todd Gurley thing seem insignificant by a long shot." End of his quote. When pressed to share the most amount of money he heard of in an autograph-related transaction, his answer, $160,000 for one season of autographs and the like, he said. I wish he'd name names. I mean, I wonder who it is that got 160 grand that he might have run across.
I don't know, but if he names names, he better watch himself stepping off a curb.
He said he never got $1. And he said nobody ever offered him money, and he said had they, he would have taken it. But he
You think?
looked at him as a rich kid that didn't need the money, but he did say he would have taken it if he was offered.
Some fans may have offered him some money to leave.
I'm a little surprised. I mean, Garcia, as popular as he was during his time at South Carolina until the end, I would think that he would have been approached by a lot of different folks for autographs and things like that, memorabilia, and offered some stuff. I would think because, I mean, during his time as South Carolina's quarterback, when things were going well for him, he was the star of the team. Before Clowney and all that, he was.
No, I think probably, Corn, what happens in lieu of that, they probably came back and offered him complimentary glasses of Long Island iced tea. That might have been what he got instead.
Yeah, and Garcia never played with Clowney. And how do you regulate that and know what's happening? Just you can't blame Georgia on what's going on with this Todd Gurley thing. By the way, speaking of the Todd Gurley thing, looks like there could be some news on his eligibility coming down at almost any time. McGarity, the Georgia AD, was in Indianapolis. The NCAA has tweeted out that they are awaiting the official request from Georgia for the reinstatement. And Mark Richt has said by tomorrow morning they should know what Todd Gurley's status is going to be going forward. Remember, he has been practicing this week, so we'll continue to monitor that Todd Gurley situation. All right, more sports talk from here on Main Street in Columbia and Boston as well. Lee Sterling coming up, Paramount Picks.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Are you done in that story? Can Corn go in, or K-Mac go in there and add the auto? Are you good?
I just got to put one more picture in there. What happened there? I know it. Did it just drop on me?
Yeah, it was you this time because everything maintained itself on this end.
I mean, where was I? I know I asked K-Mac. I was asking a question, and then I didn't hear anything coming back. I figured something was amiss.
Say it again, Corn.
I asked K-Mac a question and never heard a response, so I figured something was messed up.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were talking about. I mean, they picked it up mid-sentence. They picked off right where I cut you off and brought them in. So I mean, it was actually kind of smooth.
Good.
Smooth as can be.
All right, just got to put this last picture in here. Let's see, I've done Bryant, I've done Whiteside, I've done Bailey, I've done Colburn, and I got to do Dupree Hart. No, I don't like that over there. I'll put Dupree Hart over here. That's what we'll do. Add media. Dupree Hart. Right. There we go. Picture it on. Picture it on. Okay. Save draft. Okay. She's ready for the. I think she's ready for the. Let me just see something here real quick. Preview. You know.
Hey, Corn, you there?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had you queued down. You can you hear me?
Yeah.
He's calling me back from. He's in Austin doing something, so he's trying to give me a call back. Stand by for me here. I'll let you know when I got him.
Okay. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, back with you from Boston. K-Mac and Professor Tom Hayes back at our studios in Columbia. It's Thursday night, and it is time to welcome in to Sports Talk from ParamountSports.com with his weekly Sterling picks. He is, of course, Lee Sterling. Good evening, Lee. How you doing?
I am doing great. I'm actually in Austin, Texas, and I was here earlier in the week, and I saw the Texas State, my alma mater, Texas State take on Louisiana Lafayette, and this weekend I will see Texas play Iowa State. My daughter's flying in the next hour. She's going to be visiting with my wife, and if she ends up liking the University of Texas and gets admitted, she will be attending UT and cheering for the Texas Longhorns next year.
Well, that's just wonderful. Who wouldn't like Austin, huh?
Yeah. Austin's a great town. I mean, great. It's a good fit for her. We're also looking at Georgia, Wisconsin, and Florida. So we'll know late March, early April where she'll be headed.
Getting anything under the table, any illegal inducements from those schools to try to attract the daughter?
I wish I was getting those offers. The only offers you get from cheerleaders, they'll tell you they'll cover the books, they'll put them in a nicer dorm, but other than that, no.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. 2-2 on your picks with us last week. How was your week overall?
Overall, another good week. We went 8-5 with the clients. We hit our big 35 and 40 unit special, and that's key. You got to hit your big games. The 40 unit was on the Miami Hurricanes. Got a little dicey there, but they ended up winning 55-34 after having a big lead, 41-13 in that game, and had Troy. So it's not just the high-profile games. I'm going to give my clients the games that have the best chance of winning, and let's talk some football.
Absolutely. Do you get the little sweaty palms, though, when those big unit games are playing out and it's a high-scoring game and it could go this way, that way? Do you get more nervous?
Or 20. When you're winning big, it goes away. But that Miami game, it got dicey. And, I have a lot of clients and thousands of clients who are paying me to tell them the right teams to get on, and most people aren't quite as comfortable as I am, and sometimes they're betting a little more than I would prefer that they play on these games. And so, yeah, because if they lose, they're going to be calling. They're going to be upset. Fortunately for me, we've never had a losing season. We've won 9 out of 11 weeks. So even if we have a bad day or a bad week, if they're using proper money management, then they're going to be ahead. But, yeah, it is nerve-wracking because a lot of people's livelihood is dependent on me doing well, and sometimes you have the right selection, and crazy things happen. In that game, we're up 28 points with 4 minutes to go, and we're laying 16 points. It looks like an easy win, and a third-string Miami running back fumbles the ball, and they run it in for a touchdown, and all of a sudden, it's 21 points. We got a punt. We punt it back to them, and they had one chance to. If they drove the length of the field, they would have beat me, but fortunately, we held on.
Okay, let's talk about what's coming up this week. Let's jump right into Clemson and Boston College. That line was big. When Watson got hurt and was ruled out, of course, that line changed a bit. Clemson, 6-point favorite. But this BC team, again, on paper, looks like it could be a daunting task for the Tigers.
Yeah, it could be, and the lines come down. People are betting Boston College because of Watson being out, but I still think that they have enough. BC has dropped 3 straight in the series, so it shows you that Clemson knows how to defense them. They know what sets they're going to run. Now, a little bit different team this year with Murphy. I don't think they have the skill players enough to beat Clemson. I think the only way that they can beat Clemson is him scrambling around, making things happen on busted plays. They really don't have any game breakers at running back or wide receiver. So if he's on and he's able to improvise, yes, they have a shot. But I think Clemson is a little more solid. They're also 23-8 against the spread the last 31 ACC games. So except for playing teams like Florida State, they've owned pretty much the rest of the conference. I like Clemson here, 26-14.
All right, that'd be a nice win for the Tigers. The big one down in Tallahassee, Florida State, laying 11 against Notre Dame. Not a lot of respect in Las Vegas for the Fighting Irish.
No, it's not, but I can tell you this for sure. Because of what's going on at Florida State, and I truly believe there's a very, very high likelihood that Jameis Winston signed all those things for money. Now, they may not be able to prove it. He might have accepted cash, or they might have an agreement somewhere under the table, some signed agreement in someone's desk drawer, but the public is rooting for Notre Dame, and that's usually not the case. And they got a shot here. I think there's a lot of distractions. I think Notre Dame, which has a dual-threat quarterback, Everett Golston, except for a few fumbles, he's been right up there with the best of quarterbacks. And if they win this game, he's going to catapult himself right into Heisman contention here. He has a running back now in Tarian Folston, who I think is the type of runner, a slasher that can beat Florida State. He has 263 rushing yards, and he just came on the scene a couple games ago. Florida State's 6-0, but they have underperformed all season. Last year they gave up 14 points per game. This year, 21. I think the wrong team is favorite. The upset of the weekend, Notre Dame 31, Florida State 27.
I like it. I agree with you on that one. Okay, Ole Miss, which they really proved something to me coming off the high of that huge home win. They go on the road and just handle Texas A&M. Now they're back home, favored by 16 against Tennessee.
Yes, and this Ole Miss team impressed me also. I went against them last week. I thought it was a perfect spot, but A&M just didn't have it. And then when you turn the ball over for 2 touchdowns, your offense hands them 2 touchdowns. Those are the type of plays that are going to be backbreakers. But Ole Miss was the better team. The matchups here really favor Ole Miss. Tennessee's offensive line has allowed 23 sacks on the season. Ole Miss's defense, their strength is their defensive line, and they're just giving up 11.8 points per game. Tennessee Worley, he's okay, but he doesn't have many game breakers at running back and receiver, and that's what you need to beat Ole Miss. And how about this? Hugh Freeze, maybe the best head coach against the spread since 2011. An incredible 31-11 spread record here. Blowout city, Ole Miss 45, Tennessee 13.
All right, NFL. The Cowboys favored by 6 against the Gents. The Cowboys for real. Some are saying, yeah, it pains me to hear this, but some are saying best team in the NFC so far this year.
Well, they're playing at a high level right now. They're running the football, and conventional wisdom here, the line of thought would be that the Cowboys were good enough to beat the defending champion, world champions, Seattle Seahawks on the road. Now they come home and play a 3-3 Giants team. Well, they should be able to beat a 3-3 Giants team that just lost 27-0. But sometimes it's the way games play out. And in the game last week, Giants were down 17-0 to a warp speed offense like the Eagles, who spread them out. Not many teams like that you'll see in the NFL. And the Giants just were not able to use their clock-controlling rushing attack. And I think the Dallas defense, which has played well but only been on the field for an average of 25 minutes per game, is going to get exposed. And this might be the game here. They're still giving up 6.4 yards per play here. I'm going to go with the G-men. New York Giants 31, Cowboys 24.
All right, your game of the week, LSU laying 10 against Kentucky. Not much respect for the rejuvenated Wildcats.
No, not at all. But LSU is off a big road win against Florida, who they seem to always play well against. So if you want to get the LSU-Kentucky game, be one of the first 5 callers. Call right now, 800-400-9741. First 5 callers get this big LSU-Kentucky game, 800-400-9741. And if you want to get involved with Paramount Sports, it's a great time of year. We're right in the middle of the season in college football, and these teams will really able to start to figure out who's good, who's really good, who's a pretender. It's Conference Slowdown Weekend. 8 games, just $88. 6 games in college football, 6 conference games.
All right, we got to jump in, Leaves. We hit a break. We thank you very much. We get it clean?
About as clean as I can get it, yeah.
Okay.
I hit him, cut him right at 8 college games, and then boom, you jumped in.
Okay.
It was quality advertising.
All right, I think I've got the story here, say mid-draft. All right, tell K-Mac that story's in the draft. Hopefully the...
So it's in the draft, ready to go? Is he good?
Yeah. He may need
there
to... oh, wait, I forgot to put audio in there. Hang on.
He's got to put audio in there. Wait, what audio?
In the headline. Now. Okay.
What audio are you talking about, Corn?
No, just the word audio in the headline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Until K-Mac gets there, he might need to, if he needs to adjust some, like this year's 5 finalists are, hopefully that'll line up in the middle of the page, but he can play with it. I got the pictures in. It's all his.
All yours.
Have we gotten make sure we put Lee up. Have we gotten Lorenzo in?
Schwartz is back here somewhere doing something.
Well, let's try to get to that.
Let me see where he's at.
Okay. Garcia's comments made the front page of CBSSports.com. You know Spurrier's going to have something to say about it tonight on his show.
All right, I think I'm going to have him.
You are going to have him?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't done recruiting. Do I have any recruiting? I've been so lazy on recruiting here of late. What do I not? I haven't done recruiting. Do I have any recruiting? I've been so lazy on recruiting here. You know, I need to really watch what I'm saying here. That stuff goes out.
Real quick, Corn, this is your opening for Ward.
No, we'll try to keep it simple.
Are you making any changes to your game plan? K-Mac wants to speak to you. You got 30 seconds.
Okay.
Hey, those pictures on either side of the copy, that format's pretty weird. If you looked at it in the preview form, it's like two pictures and copy sandwiched in between.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it. Yeah, it's supposed to be two pictures on each side and then the copy in the middle, correct? Okay, we are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Good to have you with us on this Thursday night. Coming up, we'll have our recruiting report for you. Also, we have got comments from Clemson defensive coordinator Brent Venables about Boston College. Just a few minutes ago, USC defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward came off the practice field to meet with the members of the media after the Gamecocks' last workout before their homecoming game against Furman this weekend. And his comments brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Here's Lorenzo Ward talking about the work they've been doing on the defense, possible changes for Saturday.
No, we'll try to keep it simple and let them line up and play.
In terms of personnel, those starters, you shuffling anybody else?
No, you'll see Mike Weiss play. I've seen articles about him playing, but Mike will play. See, can he help us at the end?
And what about Devin Washington on that same thing?
Well, he's I don't know if he's quite ready, but he's dressing out. So if the opportunity to have him the way we can play him, we'll play him, get him some experience.
Seen encouraging signs the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of encouraging signs. I think the way we the mentality we brought to practice and the things that we've been doing in practice to change some of the mentality of what we're doing and not trying to get 1,000 reps on our opponent, but getting quality reps and we've done a lot more technical fundamental stuff instead of taking the time to run team stuff. So, worked on a lot of tackling all week, and I think the guys have bought in.
Well, I mean, how is Mason Harris? He's been kind of sick this week.
Mason actually has a strained knee, and I don't think he didn't practice today, so not that I remember him practicing, and so if he didn't practice today, he probably won't play.
You said the timeline on Bryson Allen. Did he not realize he suffered a concussion against Kentucky?
Well, he probably didn't, and then he came to practice. We practiced that Monday. He came to practice that Monday, and then Tuesday when he realized that something was wrong, and so it takes time. And so he's on the road back. I think he's in his second day of recovery as far as being let loose, but he can't play for a number of days. So I think 5 days is where they do it. So, yeah, he'll be ready to practice next week.
So he did it Monday's practice, you think? Or
no, he did it. I think it happened in the Kentucky game, and then he came out and went through practice Monday, and we had a little Monday night scrimmage with the younger guys, and he's one of the guys there, and I think he might have got hit in that either brought it back or he realized something was wrong.
You were going to challenge them to get 3 turnovers in practice, I think. How is that going?
It's doing well. Again, we had double digits yesterday, so only the first day that we started that they didn't get it, and so they had to give me grass drills, and they don't like doing grass drills, and so it's been good. It's been good, guys getting hit the ball, guys trying to take the football, so hopefully it'll pay off on Saturday.
Do you see moving up to the box as a long-term solution, or just something to change things up?
Well, we'll definitely do it the rest of the season because I feel like and it's not Shaq's fault, it's not Fred's fault, and Grady's watching the back end, and we could have fixed, I could have tried to fix, I think, what was going wrong. We had what I thought was a good plan for the pick, and we didn't execute it because one guy here, one guy there, and so we tried to fix it by doing something different on the sideline, and that was the wrong thing to do because what we was doing would have been correct if we just correct the guys that were doing wrong.
Well, what's the update on Cedric Cooper and David Johnson?
Well, I think they both have a chance to possibly be back next week. I think David is further along than Cedric, and so I feel good about David being ready to play next week.
What's Chris Lamont's status?
Chris is fine. Chris will play in this ball game. It's Chris' chance to see can he help us. So he'll play in this ball game.
What do you decide between him and Rico at this point?
I think Chris went out first today. I'll ask Coach Brown because Rico actually hurt his shoulder a little bit, but he's fine. He practiced yesterday and today, but I think Chris went out first with the 1, so we'll see. He could be starting.
Why do you call it a pig?
Well, because it's a non-quarterback at quarterback that's carrying the ball, so we just give it a term, and it was something that started long before me. So if it's not a quarterback,
it's a pig.
It's a pig. So you have defense check that you do when you got a pig.
Okay, that's USC defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward, and that's pretty good. Call him a pig, and getting his Gamecocks ready for the game against Furman. So, guys, I think we're going to see some new faces out there on defense. Maybe we're talking about the walk-on defensive end getting a chance to play. They're just still searching out there on the defensive side for those right answers, and they use this game as a bit of an experimentation and maybe finding the right chemistry and the right people that can help them in a big game against an SEC power like Auburn coming up.
The interesting thing is that one of the things that we may have glossed over that Whammy had said before, Lorenzo Ward, is the fact that he thought the strength of this defense that they had the possibility was the numbers. Then he stated that we've got to keep some guys on the field that's playing better, and maybe we shuttle too many players in and out, affecting the chemistry. So it'll be interesting to see if they come to a balance.
All right, we'll see what the Gamecocks have coming up on Saturday. We'll be back with more sports talk in a moment. Oh, why'd you do that? The problem is putting these things down the right side. Don't give me. Yeah. Nah. I hate this. This system is so just sensitive to everything. You can't do anything without everything moving. Okay, tell K-Mac I've saved that draft, and he can go in there and add the audio and just try and balance everything out best he can. Did you copy that?
Yeah, we got it. Stand by.
Okay.
Get all the way out of it real fast, Corn. Stand by.
I'm out of it. Oh, hang on. All right, coming up, top of the hour here on Sports Talk. Next hour, we'll hear from Brent Venables, Clemson defensive coordinator, about this matchup with Boston College and the outstanding running attack that Boston College will present against his Tiger defense. And it's going to be an interesting matchup between Adazio and Venables and Tyler Murphy and the things that he can do in that option run attack. But, you know, guys, listening to sports radio up here in Boston today while driving around a little bit, you wouldn't know the Tigers are coming to town to take on BC in what is a pretty big ACC game.
Well, that's because the Pats are in town and they're not playing Pat-like football, and everybody wants to moan and groan, and some even want to actually talk about what are the Celtics going to do this year.
Got beat last night at the buzzer. They weren't playing too far from here. It was a Celtics home game. It was not in Boston. They were playing Toronto. But, Celtics will be fine.
I mean,
the Pats will probably
preseason NBA basketball. Look, I'll get on the NBA bandwagon and defend it as much as anybody else. But you are now talking about preseason NBA basketball. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, up here they do care, but it's mostly been on the Jets and the Patriots because that's a huge rivalry game.
Yeah.
Belichick
and regular season game greater than NBA preseason game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just by a nose. To 99.9% of all sports fans in the United States of America.
All right, let me do a quick recruiting report here brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperative, sponsors of the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl, and hopefully we'll see you there in Myrtle Beach on December 13th. I want to update Avery McCall, the outstanding quarterback from Dillon, the junior, went to East Carolina a couple of weeks ago. He was offered by Old Dominion this week. They were in on Tuesday, and they offered him as far as East Carolina and the visit there. He really liked it, said the offense at East Carolina kind of fits him. Might go to Florida State this weekend for the Notre Dame game. He thinks Florida State is close on offering him, been getting a lot of mail from them. USC offered him early. He said they've been with him since his freshman year, talked to them a couple of weeks ago. Plans to get to a Clemson game at some point this season. Says no favorite right now, just focused on his season, but is having a terrific year, completing 76%, 1,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and only one interception thus far. So he's having a really good senior year. That is Avery McCall. I'm sorry, junior year. Avery McCall having a really big junior year. North Carolina, Tennessee, Clemson, LSU, Ohio State, NC State, Duke, other schools on his offered list right now. All right, there you go with a little recruiting. It's the top of the hour break here on Sports Talk. We'll be back. Much more to come. Brent Venables and your phone calls and more talk about the games coming up this weekend. Be right back. Be back.
Okay.
Damn it, Corn. Oh, WBZ TV. Damn. Okay, word. I gotta read this.
What are you reading?
I'll read it on the air.
Fine.
Spurrier, these calling shows used to be a lot of fun. These last 2 or 3 weeks, they haven't been as fun as they used to be.
They question my ability to choose a quarterback.
How's everything holding up?
Surprisingly well. I'm not going to say any more.
Yeah. Right. Well, you know what? It's that 6:20, 6:30 area. I swear. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing.
Stand by.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network up in Boston, where it continues to rain. And I'm getting a chance to see something that I seldom get to see, watching the great WBZ television station, the CBS affiliate WBZ, one of the old identification names in radio going back, 70, 80, 90 years whenever they went on the air, WBZ, back when they used to just give you 3 letters to identify your station. And but watching their pregame coverage of the Patriots and the Jets, which they will carry that game live on their channel here coming up, is just pretty interesting. And they're standing out there with umbrellas in the rain at Gillette Stadium, so it continues to pour. I wanted to get to this, and K-Mac, this is more up your line of activity on Twitter, but I saw this, and I've got to read it as soon as I can get my hands back on it here. Doggone it, where did it go?
We heard you cackling in there during the break.
Yeah. Now I've got to.
I can't find it.
Well, I hang on a second here. Oh, I know where it is. Here it is. I got it. Okay. On our Twitter feed, you posted a story about Stephen Garcia. So this gentleman, QAS Mr. Smalls, wrote to Stephen Garcia through our Twitter line. He goes, "Shut up, Stephen Garcia." And Garcia writes back to him. So I'm just reading the responses between these two guys. So here it goes. Garcia writes back, "You don't like it? Change the channel." Guess he's talking about his show Saturday Down South. And another guy chimes in, Connor Stroza, who says, "That's Stephen Garcia, you're an idiot." And Garcia writes back, "Oh, okay, word." All right, now I'll let you explain what that means in a minute, K-Mac. Then Connor writes back, "If you don't smoke mad weed when you were playing, people would have paid for your autograph." Garcia responds, "Mad weed? 3 question marks. Ha ha ha. Okay, man." And then this Connor Stroza replies, "Because I think you really need to stop smoking that bleep." Garcia writes back, "Ha ha ha. You're the man. Who did you play for again?" Connor Stroza replies, "The Memphis Tigers in the Harrison Pee Wee League." So, I mean, it's amazing here on Twitter that an exchange, which ordinarily, might be handled over the phone, face-to-face, ignored altogether, it's now out there for the entire world to see.
Yeah, and Stephen Garcia, he's very active on Twitter now. He follows the Sports Talk Twitter feed and definitely keeps up with what we keep up with. But, people did not like him saying those things on the radio, and his response was essentially, "Look, they asked me a question, I gave an honest answer. Get mad all you want." He's not worried about it, but fans get very upset. They'll turn on a former player that they defended to a T when he was in Columbia. But, boy, when he's gone and can't help them win football games anymore, they'll turn on him if they say something you don't like. Anywhere, not just, Stephen Garcia, anybody. Look at McElroy.
I'm actually proud of myself for being able to decipher that.
You didn't do nearly as well as you thought you did, pal.
What?
This ad, Cody Conroy Strozer.
What? I mean, I identified the guy.
Yeah, you did a great job.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. Is water wet? What's this guy responding to?
People still get mad like this is 04 over people getting money and stuff? Like, are they that oblivious?
Offense getting worse. Thinks he's getting better.
Me and Alshon got paid? No way.
Tell him they can't get any worse.
I was clueless.
All right, can I hear the beginning of Mr. Venables? Stay, man.
Working on it.
Oh, I think he's trying to set us up. It's nice.
Okay.
Oh, I think he's trying to set us up. You know, it's nice of him to say nice things, but they'll keep your enemies closer. You know, we're kind of developing an identity.
Are you going to pick it up where at the very beginning or what?
Yeah, right where you heard. Oh, I think he's just talking about the Adagio praise. I think they're trying to set it. He's just setting us
Are
up.
you going to pick it up where he says, I think he's trying to set us up, that kind of stuff?
Correct, Yep. That's exactly where it starts.
Okay.
Don't forget about the and this is, let's see, right at 4:45. So don't forget to you mute yourself when we get into it, and then unmute yourself when you come back.
Yeah, I will.
And I'll keep you updated time wise in the text box there when we're coming back and how long we got. Blah blah blah.
How long is it?
4:45.
Oh, okay. Please help my Jets tonight.
They're fat and physical.
So I got to do the high school football report. Do that.
Stand by.
Mm-hmm. Love to hear from you tonight, 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. We'll go over a lot of your comments via email. A lot of comments left at our website, sportstalksc.com. Comments on Twitter as well, our Twitter location @sportstalksc. And, of course, on Facebook, you can like us there at Sports Talk Radio Network. Coming up, Clemson football coach on the defensive side, defensive coordinator Brent Venables will join us in just a moment to talk about his defense getting ready for the tough offense. I think it'll be a tough offense from Boston College. Clemson official injury report for the game. Of course, Deshaun Watson is out. Martin Jenkins has been ruled out. Sharon Peake is out once again. Jay Guillermo remains out. And Tyshawn Dye is going to travel, but he's not ready to play, but they're talking about him getting closer and closer. Of course, Travis Blanks is out, Oliver Jones and Zach Brooks. Joe Gore is questionable, and Tony Stewart has been cleared to play. Before we get to Coach Venables, it is time for tonight's high school football report here on Sports Talk, and it's brought to you by South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Take a look at some of your statistical leaders around the state as compiled by the High School Sports Report. Leading rusher at this point is Will Tootin of Patrick Henry in Skeeza action, 1,598 yards, 16 touchdowns. Another Skeezer, Pleaser, Alex North from Faith Christian, 1,419 yards, 14 scores. Nate Slosher from Academic Magnet, 1,364 yards, 16 touchdowns. Desmond Anderson of Broome, 1,297 yards, 15 scores. Christian Rogers from Cathedral Academy, 1,247 yards and 15 touchdowns. As far as the passing game is concerned, it's Cole Martin of Nation Ford, 2,671 yards, 30 touchdowns. Kelly Bryant from Wren, 2303 with 24 scores. Danzel Rivers of Chesterfield, 2,169 yards, 23 touchdowns. Colin Hill of Dorman, 2,051 yards passing and 20 scores. And his rival across town, Austin Scott at Spartanburg, 1,944 passing yards and 20 touchdowns. Your top receiver is J.J. Arcega-Whiteside from Dorman, 63 catches, 1,103 yards, and 15 touchdowns. Next is Christian Bruce of Wilson with 50 catches, 1,016 yards, and 13 scores. Hank Tui Polotu from Nation Ford, 73 catches, 966 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Drew Murray of Cathedral with 895 yards on 25 catches and 12 touchdowns. That's a lot of yards on 25 catches. And the recorded leading tackler in the state, Hunter Collins of Lamar, 130 hits. Wendell Bing of C.A. Johnson has 120. Xavier Leapart from Midland Valley, 119. Rashad Bird from North Augusta, 110. I wonder if he's related to the Bird that came out of North Augusta a few years ago and went to Georgia. And Regan Guest from Barnwell with 108 tackles on the season. There you go with the high school football report tonight here on Sports Talk, and it is brought to you by our good buddies at the South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance Companies around the state of South Carolina. All right, Brent Venables, Clemson defensive coordinator, he knows he's going to be facing a terrific rushing attack from Boston College, the best statistically in the ACC so far this season. Earlier this week, Steve Adazio, head coach, the man who runs the offense basically at Boston College, he could not say enough good things about the Clemson defense. You know, compare them to the Chicago Bears of '85 or the Steelers of the '70s. He didn't go that far. He sure made them sound that way. Venables heard about all that kind of stuff, and you know, he wasn't going to fall and take the bait and let things and let it cloud his approach to getting his team ready for Saturday's game here in Boston.
Oh, I think he's trying to set us up.
I really
it's
like
nice of them to say nice things, but they'll keep your enemies closer. We're kind of developing an identity. We've made some improvement from the beginning of the year. I really like the chemistry that we're developing. We're playing with a little bit more consistency, and there's still plenty of things that we can continue to get better. We happen to play well at the right times that allow us to overcome some of the mistakes that we've made. Whether it's fits in some of the run game, or it's the throwback wheel route for 40 yards, or it's a 73-yarder there at the end, the boot play for 17. The miss opportunities they had on some deep shots that we got to be in better position. We're playing with great effort, and we're playing well on third downs, and we're creating some negative plays to keep people behind the 8 ball at the right times. And so we've got to continue to correct mistakes and continue to improve, learn from our mistakes, and obviously stay healthy and have some things, from a luck standpoint. We have one time that we're not lined up, gapped out up front, and right at the last second we shift everybody on the second level to overcome some of the alignment errors, and we stop them on 4th down. And Bulwer runs through there and stones them. It looks like the steel curtain up front. And those guys, I'm not taking anything away from them, but we were missing lines. Sometimes you have to be lucky too. So got a good perspective on things, but I love the attitude of our guys. And defense is about attitude and being physical and being tough-minded, and guys that love to play and play with intensity and emotion. And we're doing all those things and playing well, as a group, and at both our first and second, units. So hopefully we'll continue to play well. Like I said, you got to go back to work and not read your press clippings, so to speak. And last time everybody's bragging on us, we came out and couldn't get out of our own way. So the next game. So hopefully we need to have a road dog kind of mentality, and with great purpose and again great toughness, and we're gonna have to be very determined. It's going to be a tough physical game. We're really got to play with great discipline, and got a great challenge with their quarterback, and he's one of the top, I believe, top 10 rushers in the country, and they're the top 1 or 2 rushing teams in the country, and they're again very purposeful, and they don't just run the ISO. They're getting in a bunch of different formations, and some similarities to both NC State and some of the things that they do with motions and all the eye candy and the shifts and the trades, and just to try to again get leverage on you and run downhill and attack the perimeter both, and then got a great play action game set up off it, with a bunch of tight ends and backs getting out of the backfield. So we'll have our hands full.
With Murphy, do you watch a lot of last year's tape in Florida, or even last year's tape of you guys going against local quarterbacks?
Obviously you want to see what they're doing. They're doing the things they're doing now. They're doing really well, and we had played Coach Adazio as offensive coordinator. We played Florida and Tim Tebow in 2008, so we have a little bit of background understanding some of the things they like, both run and pass off of it. So obviously he's a feature guy, and everything goes through him and through his legs and their play action game. So they've been doing really, really well.
They have 5 offensive linemen who are all graduated.
Yeah, it's like playing BYU. Just all very mature, grown men that probably they're ready for the moment. They're going to be looking forward to the challenge, and he certainly has built us up to his own guys, I'm sure. So they won't be overwhelmed, for the moment.
Okay, Brent Venables, knowing that he's got a tough task ahead of him. That Boston College offensive line, typical for them, large. They also have a 6'9" defensive end, 6'9", 295. I bet you when he puts his hands up, it's tough to get the ball over him. We'll be right back. Okay, how we doing?
Hey, okay.
Today's the 11th anniversary of Aaron Boone kabooning the Red Sox. I know exactly where I was when that happened. You're supposed to say, well, where were you, Phil?
Corn, I really didn't know where you were, actually.
I was walking down the street from Carter Finley Stadium.
Singing to...
And had just come out, just finished up my work. Clemson played NC State that night. And I was walking in my car listening to the game. Where was I listening? I guess I was listening to it on the radio, best I could, out of New York on WCBS. And, man, when he hit that home run, you ain't never heard anybody holler like I did. Whoa! Unbelievable.
I don't know. When I hit the fish lottery a couple weeks ago, it was pretty loud.
When you do, you hit the fish lottery?
Yeah, it saved me about, well over $1,000.
Spurrier, I've told them sometimes you guys act like you don't even like football.
Stand by, stand by.
Yeah, I don't like to plug other programming that goes up against us, but it's no secret that Steve Spurrier has this call-in show on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Goes up against our second hour here, and things that he says on his radio show are tweeted out by USC media. K-Mac, this comment's pretty interesting from Spurrier. A couple of them, but this one in particular caught my eye. He said USC's defense against Kentucky. Well, this was a caller said this. A caller said USC's defense against Kentucky didn't look like they wanted to be there. Spurrier said, quote, if that happens again, we've got some serious issues. And then he also said, quoting Spurrier, I've told them, his players, I've told them, sometimes you guys act like you don't even like football. What do you make of all that?
Somebody told Spurrier sometimes to act like they don't even like football?
Yeah, one of the callers, a caller said USC's D against Kentucky didn't look like they wanted to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few seconds later, is I guess part of his answer or just a comment that he made, Spurrier is quoted here by David Cloninger as saying, I've told them, sometimes you guys act like you don't even like football.
Yeah, well, when you're getting gashed, it's not very fun out there. I'd imagine that takes some of the fun out of it. And again, when you're young, confidence starts waning. Texas A&M just punched those guys in the mouth, and I don't think they ever really recovered. They weren't prepared for that. The coaching staff, from Lorenzo Ward all the way up to Steve Spurrier, they were talking up the guys to be way better than they really were. Nobody really saw it coming from inside that program, which is that's got to be a little troubling. They should have been able to see, you know what? We don't have the same kind of guys that we had the past couple of years, but for whatever reason, they went into it thinking they might be even better than they were last year, despite the fact that they lost so many of those pieces. And, man, I'll tell you, Corn Spurrier, you were there on Tuesday. Nobody's having fun right now. All the fun and smiles and everybody loves everybody attitude that they've had the past few seasons, that has gone out the door pretty darn fast over there at the USC football offices.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and it becomes from what your expectations are. Because if you looked at Alabama's press conference, you think they lost every game because their expectations
Nick Saban never has
to
fun.
dominate teams. You know, well, we just won by 1 point. Yeah, it's not good enough for you guys. No,
but
fun when you have to think, Phil, and I always tell people, when you get young people on a football field and they think they know how to play football, then you give them a lot of stuff to think about, which they should be thinking about. Then it becomes a trip to the dentist's office, not a trip on the field. And that's
I posed this question, was it early, maybe before the season, in the summertime, and I think I said on the show, I also posed this question at some of the places that I spoke during the off season. Now, I will say this. I was one that was fooled. I listened to what the coaches said. I had no reason to doubt them. Their optimism led me to believe that they felt that they were going to be pretty good. But my question was, how are the Gamecocks going to react when it goes bad? And this really, I'll pick back up on my thought after this break. We got to hit a timeout. We'll be right back. Stay with us here on Sports Talk. Man, I'd love to be at that game, and I wish, yeah. Yee.
Yeah, it's weird. All the mics plus the tie line are connected in, but not the computers.
What you talking about?
Why they can't hear you through their headsets tonight, even when we're at break, because you're coming through the computer, not the tie line.
They can hear me during the show, right?
No, not when you're just coming through the computer pod through Google. You're not coming through an actual mic, i.e. the tie line. Or excuse me, e.g.
They can't hear me in their headsets during the
No,
show?
while we're on the air, yes, but not during the break like they have been.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Stand by.
I want to pick back up what I was saying as we hit the break. So, you know, for decades, almost for a century, but for decades, if USC was 3-3 after 6 games in the season, that was reason for optimism for Gamecock fans, and they felt like they were having a good year and possibility of a special thing. But my question was, what would happen when things took a step back? Inevitably, it was going to take a step back after 3 straight 11-win seasons. How was everybody from the inside to the outside going to react? And we see that now. I mean, they're coming apart like a cheap suit, like something K-Mac might buy on a trip to Tijuana.
Yeah.
And we're hearing it from inside, and fans are, and again, they're 3-3, which is below expectations, which were set very high by the coaching staff, but they still have a chance to save themselves with a good second half and still have by their historical standards, a very good year. By their recent standards, a step back. But historically speaking, if they can get to 8 wins and win a bowl game, I think South Carolina at this current time would be very pleased about that and should be very thankful if they're able to pull that off.
Respect is important. The Gamecocks over the past 3 years have won as many games as almost anybody in the country. There's only about 3 teams that have won more games than South Carolina over the past 3 years.
Oregon, Alabama, I can't remember.
Yeah, and there might be less. Yeah, I mean, you can count them on just a couple of digits. So they were going to come back to earth a little bit. I think reality would tell you, Corn, the Gamecocks are going to lose at least 2 more games in the second half of the season. I think some of their problems just aren't fixable without getting some different personnel in there. They're going to play a 27-year-old walk-on at defensive end this week. That's how desperate they are to get a pass rush. Next man up, who is it? This guy that was in the Marine? Okay, Come on out here. Let's see if you can get to the quarterback. I mean, that's simplifying things. All these are things that desperate teams do to try to get some kind of spark. Now, you want them to play hard. You don't want them to give up, and I don't think they've done that to this point. That's going to be key. And then you hope with this top 5 recruiting class coming in that the Gamecocks can get a little traction. Some of these young pups get the experience out there, but they're not going to be able to slow down Auburn. They're going to have a hard time slowing down Clemson. Could they spring an upset if these teams get in their own way like Georgia did? Yeah, certainly. They're talented enough to do that, but they've got problems that aren't fixable right now. I don't care who the coach is because they don't have the players that they had the past couple of years.
And the other thing, Corn, is everybody sorts of looks for answers when you're struggling. But the key point is if you exhale, South Carolina won a lot of games because they won the games they were supposed to win. And normally they didn't give games away. You have 2 touchdown leads in the fourth quarter. What would people be saying if they held on to those leads and there was some questionable play calling on the offensive end that didn't protect those leads? What would people be saying? Yeah, the defense is struggling, but they're learning on the fly and we're trying to do something this way. So you can't panic because you're talking about 17 minutes. Yes, is that the difference between 5-1 and 3-3? Yes, it is. But there's 17 minutes.
But if you struggle at Vanderbilt, Corn, and you struggle at Kentucky and lose at Kentucky, you are not going to go into Jordan-Hare Stadium where you've never won ever and beat a top 5 Auburn team. You're not.
And you shouldn't.
Part of the problem for the Gamecock fans. Part of the problem for the Gamecock fans is Spurrier, in that his comments just add to the perception of a team coming apart. When he says things like like he said about his defense, and when he talks about making all these changes and just trying to find somebody out there who can create a pass rush, and his frustration comments. These are comments he makes out of frustration. Simply because obviously he expected more this season, and when it doesn't happen, he's a guy that he can't keep it inside, and he can't hide his true inner feelings about the way his team is playing. He's not going to gloss it over, but PR is not his strength when it comes to that. He's not, and I guess maybe you're never too old to learn new lessons. He probably has learned a lesson about this off season because he kind of let it go in terms of speaking optimistically about what this team could do this year. I guarantee you next year, going into the season, you're going to see him reserve his tongue a lot more, and like people like to say, undersell and over-deliver.
Under-promise and over-deliver.
Yeah,
but
whatever.
He always did. Spurrier did. I remember when we caught up with him, Corn, at Fisher DeBerry's event. He always prefaced it. His postscript was, but teams can go bad in a hurry, and we got to keep working. And
exactly.
You're especially in the SEC, any level of college football now. There's so much parity that there's such a fine line, as Pro pointed out, between winning and losing. And those, they could easily be 5-1 right now, and you'd be going, the Gamecocks are right where they want to be, and everything's on the table. It wouldn't mean that they don't have the same problems. It would just mean that they found a way to win those games. So you can. They were teetering on the edge last year. They could have easily lost that Missouri game, and who knows what happened. They were down 10 at Central Florida, and they gave up a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter of that one. UCF was going down to score, and Spurrier was very upset after that game. But they found a way to win those games. They just don't have the experience and the leadership, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to pull out those kind of wins anymore. We can talk about the play calling all we want. Steve Spurrier is calling plays like he's always called plays. He just doesn't have that stout defense to bail him out. Steve Spurrier is really average as a head football coach if he doesn't have a better-than-average defense. He always had better-than-average defenses at Florida. His best years at South Carolina, he had better-than-average defenses. And then he can do what he does, which is take chances, put the hammer down, make defenses uncomfortable. But you can't do that when you have a bad defense.
The interesting thing is I think he has gone against type a couple of times, Corn, because even when he was winning big at Florida, what was it? Throw, get a lead, run the football. Throw, get a lead, run the football. Well, the last few times that they've had a lead and didn't protect it, he started coming out throwing. instead of possessing the football. And that was going against type, in my opinion. And to me, that's why I question some of the play calling. But again, Steve Spurrier's final statement, I guess, before the season started, came back was, well, they hung that big banner of me out there. Well, yeah, it's big enough for them to throw eggs at if we go bad.
Let's go to the phones, 800-956-7266. And to Greenwood, we welcome in, it says here, Towns, Towns. Hello, sir. Welcome into Sports Talk.
How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Good. Coach, thank you for accepting the job at South Carolina. And my comment is this. My wife was a Clemson fan most of her life, and we've been married 23 years.
Oh, great for you.
She kept saying, well, if you guys will beat somebody, beat Georgia, beat Clemson, then maybe I can pull for you.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you came along.
Oh, yeah.
And in her opinion, you're the hardest working coach in college football. And in my opinion, you're the smartest coach in college football.
Oh, thank you.
Okay? No, y'all not going to cut me off, are you?
Sir, no, we're not going to cut you off, but I hate to do this to you. You have called into Sports Talk. You have not called into the Steve Spurrier Show.
Oh, shit.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And
I was going to get into kickers.
We appreciate the fact that you have chosen to listen to us over Coach Spurrier, though obviously you did it accidentally. I don't know the number for Coach Spurrier's show. I'd give it to you.
A couple weeks ago, I just answered the question for Spurrier. I told the guy, we'd answer it for him. He figured out we weren't Steve Spurrier.
I'm glad. He's obviously, he's a big Spurrier fan and feels like he's, he's everybody gets a pass at least once or twice, whatever the case may be. And this is one of those years where it just hasn't come together for South Carolina in a lot of different ways. You can blame a lot of different coaching decisions. You can blame some recruiting decisions, perhaps. You can blame, the players themselves as well. I mean, you've got some players who are clearly underperforming, especially on the defensive side. So there's a lot of blame to go around. But there's 6 more games to go and a chance to turn it around, and we'll be right back. Oh, that call was doomed from the beginning. Oh, goodness.
Your boy Towns just called back.
What's he want now?
Yeah, he just called back.
Tell him he's calling the wrong show.
Luckily, the goods are still on Google. We can't cut that.
Oh, yeah. Why does this chair automatically go back when I lean back? Down. Oh.
Can we do a whole segment now as a bunch of Spurriers for kicks? So we all just go around in a circle.
Remind everybody to get their picks into me. I got pros already. Remind everybody else to get picks into me, including you.
I do have one more call, Corn.
Is it for us or for the Spurrier show?
Well, you want me to double check or we have fun with it?
No, we'll have fun with it.
Let's roll the dice.
Yeah, Coach Spurrier, I've been waiting for 25 minutes. Wrong show, buddy. Who is it that's holding? Put it on your list.
Gary Greenwood.
No, I think Gary's pretty smart. Greenwood again?
That's correct, man. They love us up there.
Let's see. I've done the recruiting. I've done a Talking Tuesday. I'll need to mention Leisure Cooperatives again. Uh-oh. Pittsburgh's on the board against Virginia Tech.
Stand by.
My city, my town. All right, a couple of things to remind you about. First of all, our live streaming of Sports Talk at the bottom of our webpage, sportstalksc.com. Make sure you check that out and watch us. And if you miss a show, you've got 24 hours to go back and see the program. It's archived for 24 hours until the next show comes up. So no excuse for you not hearing us, even when you're not able to hear us live. You can go back and hear us archived on the website.
There, too.
Absolutely. You hear a lot of stuff off the air that maybe you don't want to hear. It's for adults only. Don't let the children hang around and hear that.
Well, see us. I mean, that's really what could scar kids for life. Actually see.
I would agree.
Somebody texted me last night that was watching you, Corn, and said that you look like you were the Blair Witch Project, wherever you were last night during the show. I wasn't here last night. And they said you look like the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, this little camera in this computer, it probably does do me justice. I really shouldn't complain. I want to remind you also that on our website, check out our recruiting information there all the time. And, of course, here on Sports Talk, our recruiting brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperatives, sponsors of the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl coming up December 13th in Myrtle Beach. Make plans to be there. Get your tickets in advance. This update from Georgia that came out just a little while ago. No news. A press release from the president and from the athletic director and other university representatives who met with the NCAA Committee on Infractions in Indianapolis today. Now, explain this to me. You know, usually when the NCAA investigates something, it's months, if not years, before you get in front of the Infractions Committee. It's like getting a meeting with the Pope. How in the world did Georgia get a meeting within like a week or 2 weeks of this thing coming out?
Expedite a case like this, and it's in everybody's best interest. The NCAA, if there's a way that Todd Gurley can get back on the field, it's in their best interest, Georgia's best interest, ESPN's best interest, college football fans' best interest. You know, they need to get him on the field. So, yeah, with all due respect to little Timmy Johnson trying to get back on the swim team at some Division III school, they got to get Todd Gurley out there as quickly as possible for us college football fans.
ESPN and CBS say we paying you millions of bucks to have the stars on the field. Get them on the field.
Well, the news is no news after that meeting today, so pretty obvious at this point that he won't be with the team and be eligible to play for Saturday's game against Arkansas at Little Rock, by the way. That game is not in Fayetteville. That's in Little Rock, and boy, Arkansas, tough place to beat Arkansas when you go to Little Rock. A couple of other quick things, and we'll get back to the phones, but I did want to mention this. The coaches' preseason basketball poll came out today. Kentucky's number 1, followed by Arizona, Duke, Wisconsin, then Kansas, North Carolina, Florida, Virginia, Louisville, and Texas. Poor Clemson. They got to play Duke. They got to play North Carolina. Got to play Virginia. Got to play Louisville. What's that, 4 in the top 10 that they're going to play? South Carolina will play Kentucky. They'll play Florida. They get 2 in the top 10. Wichita State's 11. Let's see. Anybody else in our area? No, that's it. That's the only other. I mentioned Wichita State, of course, because of the connection out there to Greg Marshall.
Popular coach in the state of
The
South Carolina
defending
right now,
national
probably.
champion Connecticut all the way down there at number 15.
Every time South Carolina or Clemson loses a basketball game, he starts
No.
tweeting on South Carolina Twitter. Hey, a tweet coming in from Fast Lane Sports. Ask Kornblut why he won't let Mike Davis run the ball and why he's still letting K-Mac call the plays. I'll hang up and listen.
Click.
Oh, okay. I get you. Yeah, we appreciate that, Fast Lane Sports. My man Rick's on. I do want to mention one other thing that I saw from Spurrier, and I want to get your take on this, and we'll get to the calls in a moment. But where are we at here? Spurrier said he basically took the defense apart on his show, and it's got to find the quote here that was written about tonight. He says, we're not pointing fingers at just the defensive line. The linebackers, they don't think they played like they did last year, and the secondary's different. So he was very critical of his defense tonight, position by position. Here's my question. Is he setting everybody up for some staff personnel changes on the defense after the season is over?
Well, he doesn't. Spurrier's not a guy that sits on his hands when he thinks changes need to be made, or as he put it, when things go bad. I mean, Spurrier will back you up if you're doing what you're supposed to do, but it's just like his quarterbacks. Well, you go bad, I'm going to the ball. I'm going. A coach, we've gone bad. I'm going to make a change.
What defenses play good on the back end when the defensive line doesn't play well? If you ever see a defensive line play well and say, boy, the linebackers play well, but the defensive line, it all starts up front.
Right.
If Gary holds, we'll come back to him. All right, here's Garcia walking back his comment. My wife had the same response when we realized we were married. I'll hang up and listen.
Oh, you want to try to squeeze the cold corn?
Yeah. It's a damn exaggeration.
Stand by.
I need to mention this, as you might expected would happen is whenever somebody says something, it creates controversy, and then within an hour or two, they end up walking it back a little bit. And Stephen Garcia now has tweeted out the following: for the record, because clearly it was a damn exaggeration, it wasn't all day, every day. My God, people, and I didn't mention anyone anywhere. He's responding to his own, he didn't originally tweet it. He's responding to his comments on a radio show today in Charlotte and getting into a bit of a Twitter war with, I guess, Gamecock fans who didn't appreciate him suggesting that he saw players around USC getting paid for their autographs.
Well, that's one of the talk show etiquette now. When you're on a talk show, don't shoot the bull, because if you're not prepared to back up the bull, don't shoot it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's
that's
get back.
What happens sometimes. Guys get into conversations about sports, and then they go into exaggerations, and it kind of backfires on them, because everything now, if you can do it on the talk show, it goes global almost immediately.
All right, let's get back to the phones before we say goodbye tonight, and we go to Gary, also in Greenwood. Now, Gary, Steve Spurrier's not here, but you got the three of us.
Well, this ain't Gary, but this is Joey.
Okay, Joey. Well, that's okay. We have a caller calling the wrong show, and we're calling out the wrong caller here. So, what's up, Joey?
I did see Steven say, earlier on Facebook today, and he had people threatening him from all over the country to hurt him. So maybe he is backing down for that. But that ain't what I called about. I think Steve Spurrier is going to be fine with where he's at, but I want to say that in 1982 and 1983, I was working in upstate South Carolina, and Russ, not Russ, but Phil, you probably remember Herm Jacks and Russ Castle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, they said the worst thing to ever happen to Clemson football was the national championship. They said it wasn't fun no more, and all the fans just started to turn against them every time they lost. So, it happens to all of our schools.
Yeah, it's called the spoiled factor. It's called, and thanks for your call, it's called the spoiled factor. And teams and fans, players, coaches alike, media, they all get spoiled, though the media is not supposed to get spoiled. But we know in this day and age, separating media from fandom is it's hard to do. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, and that's happening in South Carolina. I mean, the fans have gotten spoiled, fat and sassy over the 3 11-win seasons, and now that they're struggling a little bit, they're having a hard time accepting it, as is the head coach. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. K-Mac, thank you. Pro, thanks. State Man, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you who listened and called in, even accidentally. We appreciate it. Tomorrow night, again from Boston and from Columbia. We'll see you then here on Sports Talk.